It's Adam here from You Speak, and we are so excited to give you another episode of the Speak Real podcast. We're sharing one conversations with our youth seekers about their stories and lessons they've learned throughout their lives. We believe that storytelling is the best way to empower youth and give them the platform for their voice. Today, I'm here with Stephanie to talk about her journey and the struggles that she has faced. So, hi, Stephanie. How are you doing?
I'm awesome, Adam. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Um, so just to begin, like before we get into like introductions and everything, I just want to like kind of like give you a little bit of an icebreaker question. And that question is name one characteristic that you aspire to be, or like one thing you aspire to be.
I think one thing I aspire to be is grateful.
Grateful. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I actually have the word grateful tattooed on my ankle. Gratitude is super important in my life.
Awesome. Yeah, gratitude is definitely one of those like virtues that like is very, very important, especially very important for just like general happiness. So that's
Yeah.
great. Awesome. So without further ado, if you'd like to introduce yourself, like let us know like how a little bit about your story, maybe like how long you've been with You Speak. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So my name is Stephanie. I prefer to be called Steph, I guess. I worked with Youth Speak for just a little under a year, I think, about 3 years ago.
Mhm.
I actually, my first kind of exposure to Youth Speak was when I was a way younger youth. I was like 14 and I saw them present at a summit I went to and I was super interested. Um, Youth Speak really hit home for me because I've always enjoyed helping other people, and seeing people who shared similar stories to mine really made me feel so much better when I was younger. And even now when I watch Youth Speak's videos and stuff, it just makes me feel more connected, right? So a little bit about my story. I think what I kind of focused on when I was working with Youth Speak too was my issues with addiction and substance abuse and mental health. So I experienced mental health challenges from an early age. 12 years old, I really noticed something was different. And I started feeling really depressed. I tried to reach out for help on multiple occasions, but I think it was just such an untouchable subject for a lot of people. And the people who were able to support me in my life didn't have the knowledge or the information to help me at that point in time. So I was dealing with depression. I started getting a little bit self-destructive and using some negative coping skills that I thought were helping me, but really it's all I knew how to do, right? As the years went on, I guess 14 was the first time I tried using substances, and it kind of went really downhill from there. So I mentioned in my Youth Speak story a lot when I shared that they always tell you, or they tell parents to watch out for their kids. If they're doing so and so and so, then it could be problematic. And by the first time I had used any sort of substance, all those problematic features were there.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So what you mentioned like kind of like the certain like problematic features, like was it mostly like the mental health issues or like that were kind of that was kind of like attributing to it more, or were there just like other things like that were kind of like going on that like kind of led you into that path?
I think everything really like started with my mental health issues, and like it was really difficult for me because I felt so alone.
Mm.
I didn't know, like I didn't have anything to be depressed about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, like it's like, life's fine, but it's not. It's like,
Exactly.
yeah.
And it was difficult for me. So when I found substances, those problematic things were I automatically wanted to use in excess. I wanted to use constantly. I was using drugs alone. I was using like really destructively and dangerously.
It's almost like kind of like a little bit of like a comfort blanket to like kind of like cover up a lot of the things that are like just going on because it's like the temporary like um the temporary like feeling of like happiness or like what you're looking for in a way.
For sure. So I was getting that instant gratification, right? And
Hmm.
that's the thing. It was instant. It wasn't long lasting by any means.
Hmm. Yes. I definitely like relate to that whole entire like sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, through these like struggles that you were having with substance abuse and like mental health, what do you think was the biggest roadblock or like biggest challenge in your life when it came to like these sorts of issues?
That's tough because I mean, if I go into that if I were to go into that negative mind space right now, I could be like, well, I have hundreds of roadblocks and hundreds of challenges. But in the spot where I'm at today, where I feel like a lot more stable, I can recognize and be aware of the fact that not everything was a tragedy.
Mhm.
So I think one of the biggest roadblocks would have to be the fact that I felt so alone. That was my one of my biggest things was loneliness and feeling alone. And I had people around me. I had people trying to support me, but I was I wasn't okay with me, and I felt really lonely in that. My biggest roadblock would have had to have been trying to get into recovery, trying to get clean and sober, and failing like a lot of times.
Yeah, like it's definitely like relapse is definitely like a big part of like trying to like get better and like it's like there's always that like there's always that like risk. I'm guessing like through your whole entire life with that sort of thing. And so you were saying that like seeking help was like the hardest challenge that you were kind of struggling with, and how the feeling of isolation was like a big roadblock. Was there any like moment that you felt that you wanted to that made you want to seek help, that made you want to like go and find recovery? Was there any sort of pivotal moment of that sort of kind?
I think there would have to be two, if I can share two.
Yeah,
The
most
first
definitely.
time I was 15, and a lot of stuff had really started going really wrong for me. 15 was the age where I started using my drug of choice,
Hmm.
and using it quite heavily. And I just remember it was probably 6 months into using my drug of choice. And I went to my mom and dad after I had a counseling session because I saw a counselor.
Hmm.
And I just said to them, like, Mom, Dad, if I don't get help, I'm going to die.
Mm.
Um, I was just broken. I was going nowhere. I didn't feel safe anymore. And it was really beautiful because my parents actually took me seriously and they got me help.
That's really good that they were actually to like able to listen to you, and it sounds like they cared about you about you a lot, like finding you like the proper resources. Was that tough for them, like trying to find like where to go or like what sort of places to like actually get you help, or if you know about that kind of process.
Yeah, it was actually extremely difficult. It was, um, I forget, it was 2011, I think, 2010 or 2011.
Mhm.
And I mean, we've come a long way since then in mental health and addictions care, in my opinion.
Mhm.
But I was a youth, obviously. I was 15, and trying to find addiction care and treatment for anybody, youth or otherwise, there could be a 3 to 6 month wait, right?
Mhm.
Possibly even more. And then youth services could be even longer because it's a specialized service.
Mhm.
So my parents, I feel completely blessed and totally grateful that my parents had the financial means and they sent me to a privatized treatment center actually in the States.
Oh. Yeah, like I know that it can be so difficult to find like proper treatment, like especially like if you're trying to find it for free. Like I know me personally, I tried to find I had a point where I was trying to find something like that for my friend, and like it was like you said, like even if you've come a long way, like it is like you can have like a 6 month waiting period, and it's like, but I need help. Like you need help now. So it can be difficult, but I'm so glad that your parents were able to get you the help that you needed. Um, and so I guess like after that, I just want to like ask. So after you were like in that treatment center, what were like the steps that you took to kind of like overcome this challenge that you had, like your addiction and everything?
It was honestly such a long process, and it's still a process, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the first step I had to take was kind of that acceptance piece.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what's going on with me, and it's okay. It's totally valid. It's okay. And now is the time I get to get better.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's a daily process, right? It will be for the rest of my life. But that first time I went to treatment was not when I got clean for good, right? Like, I had many relapses. I had many falls and get ups and falls and get ups. And I think my biggest like accomplishment thus far has been kind of that journey to self-love,
Mm.
because without my self-worth, without my self-love, which isn't at its peak by any means, I work on it daily, without all of that, I wouldn't be able to keep doing the best for myself because I wouldn't have cared for myself enough.
I like that. I like how you put that, that like, yeah, like that self-love is what kind of like leads you to say like, oh, I care about myself and like I want to get better. And I feel, I don't know, I feel like that's like the first step to like, you know, just getting better in any sort of area of your life is just wanting to, and like thinking that you're worth it. And I really liked what you said about like the whole like self acceptance, like accepting where you are at the moment so that you can like get to where you want to be. I think that's definitely that's definitely a good way of putting it. And it's good that you like work on this daily, because you know, i don't think I don't think self-acceptance, self-love, like I don't think we're ever complete in that journey. It just keeps, you kind of keep on like going and going and going. Just getting a little bit better every day. um okay, so in the last question I really want to ask you is, so how has all this experience, through going through these sorts of challenges, affected your life today? Like how does it affect you as a person?
I love that question because it could go two really opposite ways, right? It could be like, well, my life sucks and like I hate it, or it could be like, look at me thriving. And it just so happens I'm so lucky enough and blessed enough that it has really been on the up and up. So my life today is like my dream life. And it's not my dream life in the sense that this is what I've always wanted. It's my dream life in saying that I couldn't ask for anything more. Um, Going through those struggles and those challenges and being an addict in recovery is never easy. It hasn't ever been easy. But it's truly just something so simple too. So although it's difficult and it's hard, it's simple in the fact that I know what I have to do. And if I keep on doing my do things and I keep myself healthy and I work on my self-love and my self-esteem and acceptance, then it's simple to keep recovering.
Hmm. That's great. Like how you kind of like pulled something positive out of like, you know, what would be like conventionally a negative experience, like, and kind of like use that to apply that to your life right now. And I'm really happy you're like actually living your dream life, because that's really nice to hear.
Thank
Um,
you.
no problem. Yeah, like I know that like addiction and recovery can be like a very hard road to walk. And I'm glad that you came out better on the other end. Um, and like, so do you have like, if anybody in your situation kind of was like, for anyone who was in a similar situation for you, do you have like any advice you'd give to them?
Yeah. I think I'd have to say just don't stop. Don't stop trying. Cuz so there's I've had a really great amount of support in my life and a lot of people don't, Adam. Like a lot of people really struggle to get to
Mhm.
recovery and it's roadblock after roadblock, and my advice would be don't stop. Don't stop
Mhm.
until the miracle happens, because the miracle will happen and you're going to find out that the miracle is you.
Mhm. Awesome. That's great. Like, don't stop. I like that. It's like that spirit of perseverance. So I just want to wrap up really quickly. I just want to say thank you again, Stephanie, for joining us, and I want to say thank you to everybody who's been listening to this episode. Um, it's been really, we love doing this, and if you want to hear more stories, just subscribe to the podcast, comment, like, and join us next time. We're always here on Thursdays, same time, same place. So if you want to support, once again, subscribe and tune in next week.